Hello students, today I am going to explain you the refraction of light through the prism. So before going to that one, I would like to explain you some description about the prism here. A prism contains two triangular surfaces and three square surfaces. You can see this is A, B, C, D, E, F. So A, B, C and D, E, F are two triangle surfaces, whereas ADFC, ADEB, and also this BECF are the three square surfaces. So this is the general figure of what here, this prism here. But here, remember, among the three square surfaces, one surface is taken as the base. One surface is taken as the base. Then other two becomes what here? The refracting surfaces of the prism. For example, if you consider this BEFC as the base, then ADFC and ADEB becomes what here? The refracting surfaces here, and the angle between the two refracting surfaces is called as here angle of the prism or refracting angle of the prism or apex angle of the prism. So these are the three words normally used: angle of the prism, refracting angle of the prism, or apex angle of the prism. But while explaining the refraction of light through prism, we don't draw this total figure. We take the principal section of the principal section of the prism, principal section of prism. So what do you mean by principal section of prism? Suppose if you cut this one, what is the shape that you are going to get here? You are going to see the triangle shape. So that triangle shape is normally taken for all our considerations that we are going to take up now. Okay. So this is a prism, principal section of the prism A, B, C. Here BC is the base of the prism. AB and AC are the refracting surfaces of the prism. And between these two, this angle is called as what here? Angle of the prism A, or refracting angle or apex angle here. Now BC is what here? The base of the prism. Let us consider mu is the refractive index of material of the prism, refractive index of material of the prism, and consider a ray incident on this one like this. A, B, C. I'm drawing somewhat bigger so you can observe clearly. So this is the normal, okay, and here it undergoes what here? Refraction, and here again it undergoes refraction and it comes out like this. I'm calling this as PQRS. Okay. Now this is angle of incidence I1. I'm calling this as angle of refraction R1. This is also angle of refraction R2. And this angle I'm calling as I2, the angle of emergence. Angle of emergence. This is the angle of the prism. In the absence of this prism, the light ray would have gone along this path. This is the original path of the light ray. And because of the presence of this, the light ray has gone in this path. So this is the deviation produced. D I am calling here. Angle of deviation D I am calling. And this total angle is I1. This is R1. So this becomes how much here? This becomes I1 minus R1. And this is I2. This is R2, means this becomes what here? I2 minus R2 here. Okay, so this is the refraction of the light through prism. PQ is called incident ray, QR is called refracted ray, RS is called emergent ray. I1 is angle of incidence, R1, R2 are angles of refraction, and I2 is called angle of emergence here. Okay, so P. Okay, students. So I1, I2 are I1 is angle of incidence, I2 is angle of emergence, and R1, R2 are what here? Angles of refraction. So this PQT is the actual direction and TRS is the final direction. The angle between the initial direction and final direction is taken as angle of deviation D here. So D is taken as angle of deviation here. So, so this I'm calling as M here. This is N1, M I'm calling this one, and this is N2. Okay, normals here. Now, so this is a normal, this is a normal, this angle is 90, this angle is 90. So it's a quadrilateral. AQMR is a quadrilateral. Two angles are 90 means the sum of the other two angles also becomes what here? 180 here, because 90 plus 90, 180 is already gone. So what you can write here, AQMR. AQMR quadrilateral. A plus M, angle M equal to 180 degrees. Similarly, you can take triangle QMR. QMR, sum of the angles becomes what here? 180 here. So I can write R1 plus R2 plus angle M equal to 180. If you compare these two equations, what you are going to get? You are going to get A equal to R1 plus R2. A equal to R1 plus R2 you are going to get. This is equation number 3 here. That means angle of the prism equal to sum of the two angles of refraction here. Okay. Now coming to this one here. So this D is what here? The exterior angle of the triangle TQR, and exterior angle is always equal to sum of the two opposite interior angles here. So therefore in triangle uh, PQR, what I can write here, D equal to I1 minus R1 plus I2 minus R2. Now rearranging, what I am going to get, I1 plus I2 minus of R1 plus R2, because both are minus. But from equation 3, R1 plus R2 is how much here? This is A. So I can write D equal to I1 plus I2 minus A. So this is equation number 4 here. Okay. So D equal to, we got what here? I1 plus I2 minus A here. Okay. Now this is the relation we got. Now, can we write this deviation in terms of refractive index mu? This can be generally taken for small angled prisms. For small angled prisms, I1, I2 and A also become small here. In such case, what will be the D value we are going to get here? Okay, so before that, we will first of all we will get the relation for this mu versus AD, and then we go for that one. So keep in mind A equal to R1 plus R2 we got, D equal to I1 plus I2 minus A we got here. Now you can see there is a symmetry in this prism. If you send the light from left side as PQ, RS becomes a emergent light. Suppose if you send the light from right side, that is SR is the incident ray, then QP becomes what here? The emergent ray. That means there is a symmetry. I1, I2 are going to be same. If I1 is 60, I2 is 30, then if you send the light from there with I2 30, then I1 becomes 60 here. So because of that one, we are going to get the relation between this I1 and I2. For that, we are going to draw one curve that is called as a ID curve. A graph is plotted by taking the angle of incident on x-axis and deviation angle on y-axis. The graph looks like this. So it is a parabola. Parabola means, what does it mean here? For every angle of deviation, we have two angles of incidence. This is I1, this is what here? I2. As you come down, what happens here? That means this is, for example, D2, then this becomes what here? I2 dash, and I can take what here? I2 dash here. This is I1, I1 dash I can take. Now, if you come to the bottom, that is the minimum value. This is called what here? DM, angle of minimum deviation. At this condition, you see, as you are coming down, these two are approaching each other. So at this condition, what happening here? I1 is becoming equal to I2. That means when D becomes DM, I1 equal to I2. When D becomes DM, I1 equal to I2. This graph gives you this information. Therefore, what I can write here, when D equal to DM, I1 equal to I2 equal to I, that is I am saying this is, and implies R1 also equal to R2 equal to R. This is also we are assuming. Okay, now we have already equation 3 and 4. So equation 3 implies what here? 3 implies A equal to R plus R equal to 2R, means R equal to A by 2. Similarly, a 4 implies what here? In place of D we write DM equal to I plus I minus A. This minus a comes here, becomes plus, and 2i is there. If you want I, then it becomes what here? A plus dm by 2. This is the value of I here. Now, what is Snell's law here? You know Snell's law, mu equal to, we can write what here? Sin I by sin r. Sin I by sin r. Then what happens here? Substitute the values, mu equal to sine of a plus dm by 2 divided by sine a by 2. So this is the expression to find a refractive index of material of the prism, provided you should know the angle of minimum deviation dm and angle of the prism a. So by using these quantities, we can find mu. Else, if you have the mu value and A, you can find a dm value too. Okay, so this is the refraction of the light through the prism here. So let us get the relation between deviation and mu from this one. Okay, just now I told you for small angled prisms, A is small implies I'm replacing d by dm. D is also small. Then what we can write here, when theta is small, we know that sine theta is approximately equal to theta. So apply this here. What happens here? Mu equal to A plus D by 2 divided by A by 2. 2 gets cancelled out. So A comes here. Mu A equal to A plus D. And what we get here then, D equal to, take A this side and take common. So what do you get here? Mu minus 1 of A. So this is the deviation produced in the case of small angled prisms. Small angled prisms, we will get this deviation formula. Remember, this is used only when the angle of the prism is very small, that is below 5 degrees. This can be used. Otherwise, you cannot use this one here. Okay, so this is the refraction of light through the prism. So let us take some cases where light comes out through the prism by grazing. That is called as a grazing emergence, and also no emergence cases. So let us take first one, the grazing emergence, then we go for no emergence case. Condition for grazing emergence. What do you mean by grazing emergence? This is a prism, light incident on that one undergoes refraction and comes like this. This is the emergent ray. You can see here. So that means how much angle it is making here? It is making 90 degrees here. That means I2 equal to 90 degrees. I2 equal to 90 degrees. Okay. Now, for this type of emergence, what is the condition? What is the condition? So that condition I would like to tell you. Now, see here, I2 equal to 90 means the light ray is going from denser to rarer medium because the prism is made up of glass here. Its refractive index is high. It's coming to air, so denser to rarer. And the angle of refraction is becoming 90 means that means R, the here angle, you know, this is R2. So if I2 equal to 90 means, what does it mean here? R2 equal to C, that is critical angle. C is the critical angle of this material of the prism. Now, if R2 equal to C, then if you can see, this angle is called what here? This angle is called here I1, and this is called what here? R1. So what could be the maximum value, minimum and maximum value of R1, I1 here? So you can send the light through this one. That means this is called a grazing incidence. If the light comes from like this, what is the angle here? The angle becomes 90 degrees here. Suppose if it comes like this here, perpendicular to the surface, the angle becomes 0. That means what are the minimum and maximum values for this angle of incidence here? 0 and 90. That means I1 lies between what here? 90 as well as 0. I1 value lies between 0 and 90. Let us come to R1. Whether R1 will have these same values here? The answer is no. Why? Because if I1 equal to 0, okay, R1 equal to 0. But if I1 equal to 90, what about R1? Can R1 becomes 90? No. R1 is what here? It is in the denser medium. If it is 90 means it becomes what here? It should be what here? Then what I can write here? 0 and R1 less than or equal to C I can write. So maximum angle of R1 will be much, at least what happens here? Less than or equal to C means at most it can be C, but not more than C here, because R1 cannot becomes 90 here. It should go like this or like this. Is it possible? Not possible. So what I can say here, if I1 is tending to 90 means R1 tends to C. I1 tends to 90 maximum value, R1 tends to C. That means on any surface with any angle, if I1 comes, then what happens here? Maximum value of I1 is 90, then R1 tends to what here? C. Means you know the relation, that is A equal to R1 plus R2. R2 already we got C, and R1 is less than C, not greater than C. So R1 is less than C, R2 is equal to C. So what happens here? If you add these two, that means inequalities, what you are going to get here? You are going to get what here? Less than C plus C. Means the condition becomes what here? A less than 2C. So if A equal to less than 2C, then the light ray will come out what here? Grazing. That means a grazing emergence is possible if the angle of the prism is less than twice the critical angle here. Twice the critical angle. This is the important deduction here. If the angle of the prism is less than twice the angle of critical angle, then the light ray has what here? Grazing emergence. Now, in the similar manner, what I can say, condition for no emergence. Condition for no emergence. What do you mean by condition for no emergence? Condition for no emergence means what happens here? After refraction into the prism, the light ray does not comes out from the other surface. Instead, it undergoes what here? Total internal reflection at the other surface. Means here it comes out like this. That means it is possible only when this angle R2 must be greater than C. You know the definition of the TIR. If the light ray is going from denser to rarer medium, and if the angle of incidence is greater than critical angle, the light ray undergoes total internal reflection. Here it happens only when the angle of refraction R2 is greater than C. If this is greater than C, just now we have seen what here? R1 is tending to. That means what we have seen here just now, if I1 is tending to 90, R1 is tending to C. But here R2 is greater than C. So what happens here? A equal to, we have the relation R1 plus R2. If you write this one, what happens here? A is greater than C. This is also what here? Equal to C. Means on the whole, it becomes what here? Greater than 2C. Means A greater than 2C is a condition for what here? No emergence. A less than 2C is what here? The condition for grazing emergence. Condition for no emergence we have seen. Condition for grazing emergence also we have seen. Similarly, you can understand condition for maximum deviation also. So what could be the maximum deviation here? A maximum deviation means I2 should be how much here? Here I2 should be equal to 90 degrees here. So maximum deviation, minimum deviation we already seen, where I1 equal to I2 and R1 equal to R2 we got. So condition for maximum deviation also we can take by taking I2 equal to 90 degrees here. Okay. So this is the two conditions for what here? Grazing emergence as well as no emergence cases, right? Next, dispersion. What do you mean by dispersion? This is a prism. When white light incident on that one, what happens here? It split up into 7 constant colors. They are named as, you can see here, this is a white light is allowed to pass through a prism. Inside the prism, it's split up into 7 colors. So if you keep a screen here, you can see 7 colors pattern on the screen here. Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red here. So this colored pattern obtained on the screen is normally termed as a spectrum. It's called as a spectrum. And this phenomena is called as what here? Dispersion of the light. That means what happened here, when white light is passed through a prism, it split up into its constituent colors, and this phenomena is called as what here? Dispersion of light. The phenomena of splitting of light into its constituent colors when passed through a prism is termed as what here? This dispersion. So in the absence of the prism, the light ray would have gone along this path. This is the original path of the light ray. And here, this is what here the deviation produced for red color. This is the deviation produced for what here? Violet color. So which color is undergoing more deviation means here? Violet undergoes more deviation than red color. Now the question is why the light rays are splitting here? The reason is white light is a combination of what here 7 colors, are better to say here. It consists of wavelengths from 4000 to 7000 angstroms here. So because the lambda changes here, accordingly, the mu value also changes here. Mu value depends on the lambda, we already seen in the earlier classes. So therefore, what happens here? Because the mu value changes, the refraction also changes. So the bending is more for violet color and least for what here? Red color. So because of that one, we are getting what here? The colored pattern on the screen. They are splitting into 7 colors and forming a beautiful pattern. And this is called as what here? The spectrum here. So the reason for splitting is what here? Because mu depends on lambda. And white light is not a single wavelength light. It consists of wavelengths ranging from 4000 angstrom to 7000 angstroms. And because of that one, this is occurring here. So this phenomena is called as what here? Dispersion. And the best example for dispersion is formation of rainbow after the rain. You know, once the rain occurs here, what happens here? You can see beautiful colored pattern on the sky. So remember, always the rainbow forms before 11 a.m. and after 3 p.m. only. So if the rain occurs even at 12 a.m. or 2 p.m., you won't get any rainbow because for rainbow to appear, the sun rays must be slanting. So rainbow forms before 11 a.m. after 3 p.m. only. How it forms? It's simple here. So after the rain, the water drops are present in the atmosphere. They're hanging. So they acts like a dispersive media. When light falls through, passes through that one, it splits up into 7 colors. And remember, the formation of rainbow has two phenomena. One is what here? Dispersion. The second one is what here? Total internal reflection here. And moreover, the rainbow is always formed opposite to sun. Keep in mind that the rainbow is always formed opposite to the sun, not towards the sun here. Okay, so this is dispersion of light here. Then we have, so deviation is maximum for maximum for violet color and minimum for what here? Red color here. Then we have another simple concept, that is angular deviation. Angular deviation. It is simply defined as the difference between deviations of two colors is called as angular deviation. Now you can see angular deviation means here delta equal to, I can write delta violet minus delta red, because violet is having more deviation than red. So angular deviation delta equal to delta violet minus delta R, I can write. So here I am representing with delta. Earlier I represented with D, but doesn't matter. Both holds good here. Okay. So what we can write here, if you remember, D equal to, what is the formula for small angled prisms? That is mu minus 1 of A we have seen. This is the deviation. Substitute for delta V and delta R. So delta equal to, delta V means I can write what here? Mu V minus 1A. I said mu depends on color, but A is what here? It is a property of the prism, does not changes. Minus mu R minus 1A. So minus A and plus A cancel out. So delta equal, what we can write here? Mu V minus mu R of A. So this is called what here? Angular deviation. Angular deviation. Next we have dispersive power. What do you mean by dispersive power? This is a physical quantity which tells you how much the dispersion is occurring. That means the splitting of the light is occurring, can be understood from this physical quantity here. So it is defined as the ratio of angular deviation to the mean deviation. Angular deviation to the mean deviation. So what we expect here, mean deviation means, suppose if I take two colors, violet and red, according to WebGR, if you write what the students think here. So VIBGYOR. So central one is G. So therefore the average color is, mean color is green, you will think. But that is not the case here. Yellow is the average color. So based on what here, the wavelengths here. This is having wavelength 4000 angstrom. This is having wavelength 7000 angstrom. Average of this one is what here? 5500 angstrom, which falls at yellow color. So therefore, average color of the spectrum is what here? Yellow, not the green here. So omega equal, what we can write here? Delta V minus delta R by mu yellow minus 1 I am writing. Mean deviation means what here? Deviation produced by what here? This yellow color. And delta V minus delta R, already we got this one. So therefore omega equal to mu V minus mu R of A divided by mu Y minus 1. So A cancel out. Omega equal to mu V minus mu R by mu minus 1. Simply I am writing mu minus 1 instead of writing yellow every time here. It is understood. Okay, so this is the dispersive power definition, which gives you how much light rays can be undergoing dispersion with mu v values. Okay, now this is a dimensionless and a unitless physical quantity because it has two similar quantities. Already mu has no units, so omega is also having no units here. Okay, so in the next class, I'm going to tell you some more deductions about this one, that is dispersion without deviation, deviation without dispersion, and also some natural phenomena occurring in our daily life due to critical angle, total internal reflection, and dispersion. Okay, thank you.